I think our character, who we are at your core, I don't think that shifts. I think a lot of behaviors and habits and roles that you end up playing in your life can bring out the best or worst in a lot of people, but you're still who you are.
Meghan Markle isn't Meghan Markle anymore. At least that's what she says. She isn't even Mountbatten-Windsor, the royal surname she actually married into. Instead, with all the confidence of a Hollywood A-lister rewriting history, she announced, "I'm Meghan Sussex." But here's the catch. Sussex isn't a family name. It's a county in England. And that single bizarre claim has now exploded into one of Meghan's most embarrassing identity controversies yet. The moment happened during an interview with Bloomberg's Emily Chang. The setting wasn't Buckingham Palace or some elegant gala. It was burgers and beers, casual and light, until Emily asked a simple question. "So, what's your actual legal name?" Meghan leaned in and, without missing a beat, replied, "I'm Meghan Sussex." Social media froze. This wasn't a slip of the tongue. Meghan doubled down, treating Sussex as if it were passed down through generations of her family tree. And within minutes, the internet erupted. Because here's the reality. Meghan's legal name is still Rachel Meghan Markle. That's what's on her American birth certificate. That's what would appear on any U.S. passport. No Sussex, no dukedom, no royal spin.
I'm a little bit vintage in many ways because I'm from a time capsule of handwritten notes, things like that I'm not caught up in the day-to-day tech things that most people are.
Reports from royal watchers quickly pointed out that even if Meghan wanted to lean on her title, the correct styling would be the Duchess of Sussex. But calling herself Meghan Sussex? That's not just wrong, it's absurd. Imagine someone declaring, "I'm Jessica, California," after a summer road trip down Highway 1. That's how it landed. What made the moment even more painful is that this isn't Meghan's first name game controversy. Viewers remember the awkward scene in her Netflix series when guest Mindy Kaling casually referred to her as Meghan Markle. Meghan instantly cut her off, correcting her with the icy reminder, "You know I'm Sussex now." Mindy, visibly confused, blinked as if she'd wandered into an SNL sketch. But Meghan wasn't joking. For her, this identity switch was real. And critics say it exposed something deeper. A woman terrified of being ordinary. Because without the royal brand, Meghan is just Meghan Markle, an actress best known for her supporting role on Suits. And for her critics, that's the point. They argue that every reinvention, from Duchess to podcaster to Netflix star, circles back to the same obsession, clinging to a title she can't legally claim in America.
Imagine Siri's not on my phone. I don't have location services. Back on Instagram was a really big decision, but also it's just been joyful.
Insiders suggest it's not about heritage or family pride, but about control over image. By insisting on Sussex, Meghan isn't just rewriting her name, she's rewriting her place in history. But here's where the contradictions pile up. In the same interview, Meghan laughed and said, "I'm American, so I don't really understand titles." Yet she once told Oprah she had crystal clear clarity when complaining about Archie's lack of a title. Which is it, Meghan? Clueless American or royal expert? That duality is what fuels the mockery online. Because every time she tries to reinvent herself, the contradictions get louder. And this time, the internet wasn't about to let it slide. The internet didn't just react to Meghan's Meghan Sussex declaration, it detonated. Within hours of the Bloomberg clip circulating, TikTok was flooded with parodies. One viral post, viewed over 2 million times, showed a creator introducing herself as Emily TikTok and Samantha Spotify, mocking Meghan's logic with a deadpan face. Twitter, or X as Elon Musk insists on calling it, turned the clip into a punchline factory. One top post read, "If Meghan Sussex, I'm Brian Cheeseburger." Another shot to 40,000 likes simply said, "Tell that to my passport, Duchess." But the memes were just the beginning. Royal commentators quickly seized on the chaos. According to reports in the Daily Mail, longtime palace insiders were baffled that Meghan would so brazenly ignore how titles work. One commentator even called it a word salad that borders on self-parody.
Really intentional in using it as a platform to share joy and to have fun as well.
American media wasn't much kinder. Bloomberg itself ran a headline asking if Meghan was rebranding herself with geography, and late-night hosts wasted no time. Jimmy Kimmel quipped that he was now Jimmy Los Angeles, while Stephen Colbert dryly announced he'd become Stephen Manhattan. It was open season. Fans of Meghan, the so-called Sussex squad, tried to rally. They flooded hashtags with defenses, insisting Meghan was simply trying to create a new family identity with Harry and the kids. But critics pounced on that too. Reports circulated that Archie and Lilibet's US passports list them as Mountbatten-Windsor, not Sussex. One viral Reddit thread with thousands of upvotes posted screenshots of official naming conventions, captioned, "Even her kids don't back this branding." For ordinary fans, the contradiction was impossible to ignore. If Meghan wanted Sussex as a surname, why didn't she apply it to her children?
Actually get a drink in peace?
Yes,
Yeah.
we go out a lot. I love it.
And then came the generational clash. Gen Z TikTokers roasted the moment as cringe cosplay royalty. Millennials mocked the Forever 21 comparison, calling it a discount Duchess rebrand. Meanwhile, boomers, especially in Britain, saw it as proof that Meghan had always misunderstood the monarchy she married into. A BBC radio caller summed up the mood bluntly. "Sussex is a place, not a person." Across age groups, Meghan's attempt at reinvention only seemed to unify people in ridicule. What really pushed the tension higher was how this incident reopened old wounds. Critics resurfaced the Oprah interview, where Meghan claimed she was silenced and misunderstood about royal titles. They paired clips side by side. Meghan lamenting Archie's lack of title versus Meghan shrugging, "I don't understand titles." That split-screen moment ricocheted across TikTok with captions like, "So which Meghan is real?" Every repost sharpened the narrative that Meghan's story doesn't just change, it collapses under its own contradictions. By the end of the week, the hashtag #MeghanSussex wasn't just trending, it was cemented as a meme. For Meghan, what was supposed to be a breezy promotional interview had spiraled into another cultural firestorm. And as fans, critics, and comedians piled on, one question began to take center stage. What happens when her obsession with titles collides not just with public perception, but with the legal reality she can't escape? For all the jokes online, the most damaging blows came not from memes, but from legal and institutional facts. Reports from US legal analysts quickly clarified what many already suspected. The United States does not recognize aristocratic or royal titles on official documents, period. That means no matter how many times Meghan insists she's Sussex, her American passport will always read Rachel Meghan Markle. Insiders close to immigration authorities even explained to Vanity Fair that TSA pre-check forms, customs declarations, and citizenship documents make no provision for titles of nobility. In plain English, Meghan can say she's Sussex, but the law doesn't. Royal watchers then dug deeper into history. The London Gazette, which publishes official royal notices, shows that upon marriage, Meghan's legal name became Rachel Meghan Markle, styled as Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. But here's the kicker. After Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties in 2020, they lost the right to use HRH altogether. That leaves only the territorial designation, Duchess of Sussex. And even that is conditional. As historians pointed out, divorced royal spouses revert to first name, Duchess of title. So if Harry and Meghan ever split, she would instantly be downgraded to Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. In other words, the identity she's clinging to could disappear with a single signature. What made this revelation sting more was Meghan's own contradictions. In her Bloomberg interview, she laughed, "I'm American, so I don't really understand titles." But rewind to her Oprah sit-down in 2021, and she spoke with absolute certainty about titles, rules, and Archie's status. Viewers pulled receipts, editing clips side by side. On one screen, Meghan pleading confusion. On the other, Meghan lecturing Oprah about royal protocol. That split screen exposed a devastating pattern. As one commentator on GB News put it, either Meghan doesn't understand titles, or she understands them too well, and uses that knowledge when it benefits her. The children's situation made it worse. Official palace notices confirm that Archie and Lilibet are listed as Prince and Princess, with the surname Mountbatten-Windsor. In the US, however, those names are irrelevant. Their passports, according to sources who spoke to The Telegraph, carry Mountbatten-Windsor, not Sussex, which raises the unavoidable question, if Sussex really is the family name, why didn't Meghan apply it to her kids? That inconsistency became the centerpiece of online debates, with one viral TikTok saying bluntly, "If even Archie's passport doesn't say Sussex, Meghan's claim is pure theater." These revelations transformed the controversy from a quirky soundbite into something more serious. It wasn't just Meghan being mocked, it was Meghan being fact-checked in real time by governments, legal experts, and royal historians. And the more receipts that surfaced, the more it looked like her identity crisis wasn't a branding strategy gone wrong. It was a public unraveling, where each contradiction invited harsher scrutiny. By the second week after the Bloomberg interview, the controversy had grown beyond social media mockery. It had become late-night television's favorite punchline. On Saturday Night Live, a sketch opened with a fake Buckingham Palace press conference where an actor playing Meghan proudly declared herself Meghan Sussex, Duchess of Word Salad. The punchline? The cast then introduced themselves as Chris Manhattan, Chloe Starbucks, and Pete TikTok. The audience roared. What Meghan hoped would be a polished rebrand had mutated into a cultural shorthand for self-delusion. Other celebrities quietly piled on. Comedian Ricky Gervais tweeted, "If Meghan Sussex, I'm Ricky Netflix. Pay me $100 million. Even Sharon Osbourne, no stranger to scandal herself, said on her talk show, "It's embarrassing. You can't just take a county and wear it like a tiara." Insiders told Page Six that Meghan was fuming privately at the growing list of names dragging her, though her team avoided public comment. But that silence only fueled speculation. For critics, it was proof she had no defense. For fans, it was proof she was being unfairly targeted. Either way, the storm only grew louder, and then came the voice that mattered most: Sussex itself. Local residents, interviewed by the Argus, a regional UK paper, called Meghan's declaration tone-deaf. One resident quipped, "We didn't vote for her. She's been here once." Another said flatly, "Sussex is our home, not her surname." That hometown rejection hit harder than any meme, because it wasn't just outsiders mocking her now, it was the very community she claimed as her own. British commentators seized on this, framing it as a cultural hijacking, Meghan adopting a county's name without contributing anything to its people. Meanwhile, industry insiders whispered about Netflix executives wincing behind the scenes. According to reports from The Hollywood Reporter, Meghan's misstep was raising fresh concerns about her long-term brand viability. Netflix paid for glamour, not ridicule, one insider claimed. When the brand becomes a punchline, the value collapses. That kind of talk was a red flag in Hollywood. It suggested Meghan's identity crisis wasn't just a royal headache, it was a potential business liability. The final escalation came when critics tied the incident to Meghan's wider pattern of contradictions. One viral YouTube breakdown drew millions of views, charting every reinvention. Meghan Markle, the actress, Duchess Meghan, the royal, Meghan Mountbatten-Windsor, the bride, and now Meghan Sussex. The video ended with a devastating question. If her name keeps changing, what part of her is real? That sentiment captured the cultural mood. Meghan's attempt to control her narrative had spiraled into the exact opposite, a loss of credibility so profound that even her defenders struggled to keep up. At this point, it wasn't just about Meghan's name, it was about whether her entire public identity was collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions, and the fallout, both personal and professional, was only beginning. When the laughter subsided, the real fallout began. Meghan's attempt to rebrand as Meghan Sussex had not just sparked mockery, it had triggered a deeper crisis of credibility. According to The Times, palace aides privately rolled their eyes, dismissing the stunt as another exercise in brand confusion. But the institutional damage went further. Royal historians warned that Meghan's repeated misuse of titles could erode the dignity of the peerage, a diplomatic way of saying her antics risk undermining centuries of tradition. For a monarchy already struggling to stay relevant in a modern world, the headache was unwelcome. In Hollywood, the whispers grew louder. Insiders told Deadline that Netflix executives were monitoring the backlash carefully. The concern wasn't just bad press, it was the long-term return on their multi-million-dollar investment in Harry and Meghan. As one producer put it, the royal mystique sells, but if the mystique turns into a meme, you've lost the magic. That sentiment reverberated through the industry. Meghan's brand, once marketed as a blend of royalty and modern celebrity, was now teetering dangerously close to parody. And in an era when streaming budgets are shrinking, no studio wants a laughingstock tied to its bottom line. The financial context made it even starker. Reports from Forbes noted that Meghan and Harry's net worth, heavily tied to media deals, depends on their ability to stay marketable. But with every scandal, from Spotify executives calling them grifters to Meghan now being mocked as Duchess of Word Salad, that marketability erodes. Ordinary fans saw the irony clearly. On Reddit, one top comment read, "If she spent half as much time building projects as she does building names, maybe people would take her seriously." That sentiment, brutal as it was, captured the cultural shift. The public no longer saw Meghan as misunderstood. They saw her as manufactured. And yet, for all the fallout, Meghan's obsession with reinvention may reveal something tragic. Without the royal brand, she is simply Rachel Meghan Markle, an actress whose star peaked years ago. For her critics, that's the nightmare she's running from: irrelevance. By clinging to Sussex, even at the cost of ridicule, she's trying to hold on to a legacy that feels like it's slipping through her fingers. As cultural historian Sarah Gristwood told The Guardian, "It's not just a name, it's a fight for identity in a world that may no longer need her." Which brings us to the bigger question: what happens next? If Meghan's latest reinvention is already collapsing under its contradictions, what will the next one look like? A new project, a new name, or another controversy that proves, once again, she can't escape her own contradictions? Because if Meghan Markle can turn Sussex into a surname, what's stopping her from rewriting the next chapter in even stranger ways? And if you want to be here the moment it happens, hit subscribe, tap like, and join us for the next deep dive. Trust me, in Meghan's world, the next scandal is never far away.